Hello, my name is John Storm, and I'm an MK Ultra survivor. I'm also a master martial artist, Chinese Kempo, more than a little bit of ninjutsu and a few other styles in the 50 years or so that I've been practicing some hardcore martial arts. What I was looking for in this particular video is something that I could teach you that if you were faithful enough to practice exactly what I taught you, the way I taught you, as I have taught many other MK Ultras, Rangers, Specs, Recons, and Black Ops boys, I was looking for something that I could teach you fairly simply and at the same time would give you an ultra-powered punch or technique that you could use in a self-defense situation to save your wretched ass, or apply it to freedom fighting. It is only one or two techniques. I'm going to teach you the developmental stage, how to develop this technique and to develop your own body to about ultra hardness. My bones have been hardened. I can take a car swipe at about 30-40 miles an hour without breaking any bones. I can jump out of a third or a fourth floor window and hit the ground running and take off without breaking any bones. You can't do that. And the reason I can do that is that because my skeleton has been hardened via a technique called microfractures, something from what's known as Wolff's Law. That's something you can look up on your own. All right. Now, there's ways that you can toughen up and harden your own skeleton, at least your fists, your fingers, your forearms and stuff, using various contact techniques, punching iron bars and bricks and stuff like that. But we'll talk about those later on in order how to make your bones extra hard. That's kind of more for master martial artists, black belts and up. But it's doable if you start getting how this is done. This is a martial arts. It is also a science. We want to be able to get you into it, the developmental stage, to develop healthy muscle. Now, as it is, the timing is perfect for this because I am currently recovering from having lost over a third of my body weight in ketoacidosis. My body has practically dissolved itself and organs started to shut down. And it was just a couple of months ago I was in a hospital bed in an ICU unit in a local hospital. So I'm getting my weight back. I'm currently up to about 200 pounds at about 6'4". That's not an incredibly heavy fellow. I never was a really fat man. I was always a very powerful man, let's put it that way. Okay, so since I'm recovering, I got all this new muscle. It is not the hardness and the tensity that the muscle MK Ultra has developed on me or over the years. I was practically down to just skin and bones. So there is a layer of that extra hard muscle and over top of extra hard bone, but I have to develop the rest. The rest that is new. That's high fiber covereth a multitude of sins when you in the course of your diet. So I am recovering. I am building up this muscle, and I have to build this muscle in such a way as I move, as the techniques go, as I defend myself. Your body has to be able to do this on its own. There's three stages of teaching when a master is teaching you martial arts. There's the beginner, the intermediate, and the advanced. Now, the differences between these levels of learning is also the time and effort it takes you to accomplish a move. Remember, you're expected to do these in times of high danger. Your heart's racing, your body's in a fight or flight mode. And every split second counts as to whether you're going to live or die or succeed or fail in whatever endeavor is coming to you, whether you like it or not. Now for the beginner stage, we might teach a technique where you turn your head or your throat into the crook of a person's arm who's grabbing you around the neck from behind. So that's one. Your second move is to reach up and grab their shoulder or anything you can get a hold of, let's say with your right hand. Your third move is to squat and kneel on your right knee and pull towards your left knee to bring that person up over your shoulder and your back and your shoulders and come down hard in front of you. So as the person is putting their hand around their arm around your neck to choke you, you are thinking 1, 2, 3. 1, do this move. See, it's not your move yet. It's your master's move. What did Master Storm say? Let's see. Turn my head into there. That buys me a little airtime. Reach up with the right hand. Pull and twist towards the left, bringing the opponent down on his back in front of me. Chop to the throat. It's 1, 2, 3. Usually in the time it takes you to think of any of those things, it has been too late. He has lifted you up off of the ground and snapped your neck like a twig. All right, but for learning, that's good. In a school, in a dojo, that's good. Out on the street, that's not. So you will have to be faithful with the repetition of these techniques that I teach you in this particular video to make it second nature for yourself so that you do not have to think about it, that your body punches all by itself because you have done this so often. The intermediate area of learning, the person puts his arm around your neck to choke you. You automatically do that. 1, turn your neck. 2, pull them over. So it's 1, 2. It's a lot quicker. It's fewer steps involved because your body is starting to master it. It's done it more than once. It is not a strange thing for it to do. The beginner, he's never done this before, or he's only done it once or twice. The intermediate, he's probably done it about 100 times, or at least a few dozen. And he has a little more confidence, and it's a 1-2 type move. Now for the black belt, black belts are up in the advanced area. Generally high green belt, brown belt upward. International law says brown belt upwards, you're considered a lethal weapon. So at about brown belt upwards, there's your advanced student. The arm is around his neck. He's done this so many times. It is no longer just Master Storm's technique. It's your technique. And the arm comes around the neck, and by the time your body recognizes somebody's trying to choke off your air, you've already done it. You've already pulled them over and made your little coup de grace, brought them down, chopped to the throat. You ever hear a black belt say, yeah, I got a black belt in this, but I'd never use it? He's either a liar or he's never been in a fight before outside of a dojo, which is sad, which is a sad state to be in. It's a very nice thing that a person gets through life without too many fights, but in a situation that we're talking about here, that's going to be a lot more demanding upon you. All right, so he doesn't have to think about it. His body does it all by itself. He's done this hundreds, if not thousands of times. And that's what I want of you. I'm going to show you some exercises to do, some with a little resistance. You can use 5, 10, 20. I've even used 50-pound dumbbells in my heyday when, like mid-20s, early 30s. At least once a week to do these techniques and these moves. Look, even Muhammad Ali doesn't practice his punches with 50-pound or 20-pound boxing gloves. So just learning to do this, the technique of using weights in this way is from an ancient kung fu system called Iron Ball Kung Fu. And it was done or practiced while hefting about a 10-pound iron cannonball in one's hands, while he was going through his kata and his techniques. And this resistance training gave him such speed and such power when he set those balls down. You'll find this to be the same for you when you set down the dumbbells after you've been working with them. So I want you to do multiple sets of 10s. You do them slowly, especially at first. You want to get the technique perfect. You want the form perfect. When it gets to the point that you're so tired that you're starting to do it sloppy, stop. Do something else for a while till your arms and everything are refreshed to the point where you can do it. You do not want your body to develop bad habits. You want this to the point where your body is so used to doing this strongly, fastly, or very quickly rather, and perfectly, that you don't even have to think about it. Somebody fires off a punch to your head, you're automatically intercepting that punch with your block, striking to the inside of their arm, raking the nerves, and at the same point as they're punching, you are punching. Your punch is coming at the same time. Block, punch, all in one move to strike them in the head. The times, this is a fight science. The times when people are not ready to be punched, if you're sharp enough to see when they're inhaling, like their nostrils are flaring, they're breathing in, or they're flat-footed, on their heels, that's a good time to hit them. They're not ready to defend, or when they do defend, it is in the process of falling backwards, so you get to knock them down. We are looking for every little advantage, like the gunfighter of the Old West. He slings his holster low, so it's within easy reach. He doesn't have to reach any further. His hand just rests near the butt of his guns naturally. So when the time comes and he gets the idea that somebody is drawing on him, his hand is naturally there. It is up and he fires. It is such a natural move. He shaves split seconds off, able to get that shot in first, an accurate shot. This is what you're doing with your hands and your fists. Now, ultimately, you would develop this beyond a fist. You would do your push-ups on your fingertips, and you would drive your fingers into the hollow of somebody's throat as they were moving. This would be a swift, instant kill shot. The harder you can do that, the more capable you doing that, you leave behind something that is soon or within minutes is going to be a corpse, because you collapse his windpipe. He can't breathe, he can't fight. In fact, he can't live. This is a person you move behind. In a fight or in an attack situation, you rarely ever get attacked by just one person. Even when the police come, they don't like to get frisky until they got back up. These boys don't feel so damn tough when they're all alone. Bullies never do. Let's see. Repetition is going to bring you about a reflex action. Now, if you are not doing these techniques and you just see this and I got that and I memorized it, well, that's one thing, you know it in your head. It's another thing what your body's going to do and how fast and how able it's going to do it. Like I say, we're trying to make this as body memory, and repetition is what works in martial arts. When they are practicing those moves, those punches, those blocks, over and over and over and over and over again, thousands of times, the more they do it, the more it becomes natural. It becomes reflex. It's something you can do as quick as a sneeze. All right. The resistance training, note the way the weights, the dumbbells are at the end of the fist, by my knuckles. That's where the weight is centered. That is where I want to put the power when I'm punching. When I punch, I do not just punch at a face. I punch about 4 inches through the face, or whatever my target is. If I'm slamming something, a vertical fist, that's with the thumb up towards the ribs, I am doing so within 4 to 6 inches. I shuffle forward on my front foot, a couple inches into it, so that I do not overextend myself into the punch. My left hand is blocking, my right hand is punching, or vice versa, as the case may be. You work both hands in this particular type of training. You can do push-ups. Push-ups are great. I never do more than 10 at a time. You don't want to get bulked. You don't want to bulk at least greatly. You want to bulk a little, but you don't want to bulk greatly, because in the end, that's going to slow you down. You want speed and power is what we're looking for. We're looking for a technique that someone cannot defend against, and if they're in the process of a punch, they can't defend against it. You block, move in, you have to intercept that, but you're going to need that ultra speed to do that. And this type of training will give you that. Blocks. There's 3 reasons for a block. This is beginner stuff in my classes. The first reason is to deflect a blow, to get that out of the way. The second reason is to inflict pain. Generally, you're striking towards the inside of the arm. If you tap the inside of your forearm, you will notice it is just lined with all kinds of nerves, and it tends to numb your hand, and it makes you less apt to want to hit with that hand. So if you're punching with that hand and I smack you really, really hard across those nerves with hardened hands and sharp speed and power, I numb that hand and I make it a little bit harder for you to try to punch me a second time. These are the things, all these little things that I'm teaching in the course of that, when weighed together, give you the edge to win every time. But see, you have to apply that. You can't get lazy with this. I'm not there to train you day in and day out. Don't eat this, how to breathe, how to stand, how to shift your weight. You have to do that yourself. The onus is on you. My caveat is this don't work unless you work it. I give you the spell, the means, a spell, a period of time where influences are brought to bear to accomplish a desired goal. In our case, we're talking warcraft here, and the influences we bring to bear is damage and destruction. This is the art of war. We are making war. We are not playing pity-pat with friends. We are making war. All right? So the first reason for the block is to deflect a blow. You don't want to get hit with it. You're not talking about a weak person. A weak little wimp isn't the type of person that's going to come up and try to punch you in the face. It is going to be someone strong, and he's going to have friends. All right? The second reason is to inflict pain. Don't give him a second shot to throw at you. The third reason is to make an opening. If he's coming in with his right hand on a punch towards your head and you push it out to his right, you create an opening that opens up all kinds of vulnerable areas. If you look at a martial arts chart for vulnerable areas, you'll see the throat opens up, the solar plexus, the soft part, the short ribs, the nose, the lip, just between the nose and the lip, the point of the chin, right between the eyes. The eyes themselves, generally you focus a finger shot kind of at a 45-degree angle in towards the nose or the sinuses. That's where the nerve from the eyeball goes back to the brain, and this allows you to punch your finger through their brains. But you have to develop that. You have to develop those fingers and those push-ups on your fingertips. Use all 10, thumb and four fingers on each hand, and learn to do your push-ups on those fingers. And this develops them to be hard enough to do these. We're talking about instant kill shots. You got a person with a gun. You push the gun away with your left hand and with the right hand. At the same time as you're pushing that gun away, you're driving your right finger, index finger, into their eye and killing them instantly. You're as deadly as the techniques that I'm showing here are real, are genuine, are taught to MK Ultras, Rangers, and a number of people. People that have to kill quick and devastatingly, no questions, no doubts. All right? So you have to have power to block and punch at the same time. In the course of this move, the way we're doing weights, not just weights on one hand, but weights on both hands, is you learn to develop that snapping action. You are pulling back just as fast as you're putting out, and vice versa with both hands. So the technique, as Bruce Lee would call this, is called a stop hit or a stalking fist. This is a punch that goes out as the other person is punched. You know the old saying, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. The minute the person has gone and made up their mind that they are going to inflict violence upon you, they sealed their own death sentence. This was their decision, not yours. This is self-defense, not attack. You attack as he attacks. When he throws his punch, you block and punch at the same time. It's a stop hit. They're not ready for it, not flexed for it, cannot protect themselves from it, and the more power and precision you put into this punch, the less chances of them getting up and dealing with you and creating more of a problem. Now you can deal with his buddies. I can kill 4 men in 1 second if they're close enough for me to hit. I don't have to look at them twice. I can move on to the next person after that. This is how an MK Ultra fights. Now, you're probably not going to develop that particular level, but you can develop darn close to it. And anyone that has been in martial arts for a while can tell you, yes, that is entirely possible. People do that all the time. So we're trying to commit all of this to body memory. Now here is a nice little quick little 6-minute practice session here. Like I say, I'm only doing these things a couple times in here just to show you how they're done. It's up to you to develop your stamina and your timing and your power. You practice for a little more every day or a couple times a week. You might even up the weight or what you're doing, you know, how many push-ups you do. Like I say, when I do push-ups, I like to wait till there's a commercial and just do 10 on my fingertips. Just 10. No more, no less, just 10. If I'm going to do 10 more, hey, 5 minutes from now, next commercial comes up, whatever the deal is, I got time, I'm waiting for something to load on me, get down and do 10. Just 10. Only 10. It's easy to do. It's something you want to be able to train yourself to be able to be your own master here. You're the one that's going to have to drive you to do it. And if it's too much to ask all at one time, you're going to put it off, and any excuse to put it off, you're not going to develop it as a habit. It will not be yours. This has to be your technique, not Master Storm's. You have to own it. All right? So here you go. I want you to take a good look at this. Listen to what I'm saying. Look at what I'm saying, how I'm doing it, and everything is important. Even the breathing in this is important. Check it out. Starting with the resistance training. We have block. There's a block. This is the area of your body you're protecting. This hand, same here, but at the same point, it is all done in one move, where most people are doing 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It isn't 2 moves, it's 1 move. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Remember to move your shoulders, to move out of the way. Your center line is out of the way. Okay, 1, 1, 1. Now this is with 10-pound weights. Here, this is just to give me. This is done slowly. You keep your guard high. Keep your arms to where they know where they have to be. You are training your body with extra weights. This is the technique or the dynamics behind the resistance training. Is you're training your body to be able to handle this extra weight, this extra load that you're making a demand of it as normal. You get used to it. You build yourself into it. You increase your endurance, you increase your strength. But you also want to increase your flexibility and the grooves. Lao Tzu says the body moves, or the cart moves best along old ruts. These have to become old ruts for you. Your body has to be used to making these moves. So you're training it with the extra weight and the repetition to move perfectly in response to this particular kind of an attack, where you can block and strike at the same time. They are never ready for a hit while they're in the process of hitting. This leaves you what Bruce Lee and Jeet Kune Do calls a stop hit, or stalking fist. It follows the block. It follows right along with it, literally. Not from 1, 2 later. It's 1. It's 1 move. 1, 1. You get your body used to doing. Most people will practice their punch this way. Notice, long the fist is straight. If we place a ruler or anything, straight edge on it, the punch is going to be straight across. All right, no gap. If this is down or this is up, all of that down or up, all of that energy is going to happen right here. This is what's going to take it. But if it's straight across, you have the same power as you have with something else straight across. This way, you could probably break this. This way is when this is at its strongest. 2, 1, 2, 3. This keeps this straight. 1, 2, 3. Facing you. 1, 2, 3. We don't just do that. It's not just 1, 2. Remember, we want to get them while they're punching. Right while they're in the act of punching. We want to block that out of the way, and while we have this open, send our punch directly into it. So it'll be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Person throwing fast punches. 1, 2, 3. Hit them each time. 1, 2, 3. We're in position, getting the shoulders back, causing resistance. The weights are at the end of the knuckles, where I end up wanting to focus the power of my punches and my blocks to the ends of my hands. Create more power on those for making openings and causing more damage when I hit. If you notice the diaphragm, I'm breathing from the diaphragm. This opens up about 30% extra lung capacity for me. So I'm flushing my muscles and my body with fresh oxygen. I am training it in the directions that I punch and that I block to give me more power and more energy. And the repetition trains my body to be able to move on that almost as second nature, in almost a reflex action. The more repetition, the better your response time and your power is. You're training the body to move along old ruts that it's already made, that it's already trained to. Rolling the shoulders back, and then again forward. They're still carrying the extra load of that weight as we're doing it. We're still breathing from the diaphragm, flushing with fresh oxygen. We want healthy muscle. We're developing healthy muscle and resistance training in the directions we move. Crack the spine, get those crunchy sounds out of your neck, rolling your head back and forth. This allows you to react a little better, a little quicker, less stiffness, less jerkiness in your movements. Again, all this time we're flushing with fresh oxygen, breathing from the diaphragm. Notice that from the area of my sash. Notice the exhale comes on the punch. Exhale as you're pushing out. It's slow while we're doing it this way, but it's fast when we do it quicker. It's a sharp, hard exhale from the gut. Again, we're using all repetition. Where I'm only doing a couple of these, you should be doing these in sets of 10, and then 20 and then 30, and that as you can. Again, we're still flushing with oxygen. You still hear me. I breathe outward hard on the exhale on the punch. Stretch it out a little bit. Shoulders back. Loosen out the knots. Don't let those harden in there, because they're going to slow you down tomorrow. Get the kinks out, stretch it out, and call it a day while you're still good. You also have to make it so that when you do punch, that all the energy is focused on the first 2 knuckles of your punch. It's a matter of pounds per square inch. Between 200-pound body weight moving forward at 10 square inches, which is going to break it down to about 20 pounds per square inch. Or break it down to between 1.5 of an inch or even 1/4 inch if you can focus it down onto 1 knuckle, which many people do. There's also different fist styles to make. If you're going for something bony like ribs, the skull, we're going to fracture the skull, the teeth, the jaw, you go for these 2 knuckles. You keep that straight across and your energy going straight along. Kind of like taking the end of a broomstick and smashing it into a brick. You can break the brick that way. If you try it the other way, you're going to break the broomstick. The broomstick's strength is as end on end. So when those bones all line up proper, that bone alignment, that's the reason we want to practice perfectly. And I say don't develop sloppy habits. Now, if we're going to go to soft areas, like the hollow of the throat, we're going to go for organs. You might use a technique called an eagle's beak. Middle knuckle is extended on here, and this is for soft areas. This is another technique we call, we like to call that hitchhiker. Take the thumb, press it hard against the fingers, against the knuckles, so it does that, and that becomes your striking, doesn't bend back. Point for areas up under the short ribs, the throat, up under the jaw, behind the ears, and finger strikes. You can oftentimes brace fingers against each other. Dart braces the fingers against the other fingers. You're going to notice after you have been working with the weights, when you set them down, how much easier your arms and your hands and fists operate, how much lighter they feel. The whole trick with getting them, you become faster, you become more powerful. The resistance training has built where your stage of normal is up to a higher platform. And when the adrenaline pumps and the danger kicks in and the situation arises, you take that level of strength and speed to a whole new level than what you were practicing at. So that's the purpose behind developing our body in this way, at this pace, and by these means. We are allowing you, or you are allowing yourself, you have to train yourself. There was a lot more worse things done to me and other ultras to get us up to a certain strength or a certain ability to just completely destroy our opponents. You are going to have to be your own mad Nazi scientist on yourself, and I am recommending this as opposed to other methods because it has a tendency to do the least amount of damage. If you take it slow, you take it easy, you pace yourself and put yourself through it and develop yourself over time, you will have these capabilities without doing permanent damage to yourself. But that's all on you. I only accept responsibility for what I said, not for how stupid you get with it. And I'd like you to understand that, and good luck with this.